Hi again, and this is the topic of discussion right now. So the topic is reuse of treated wastewater options and policies by Sumrit. That's me. And so moving on without further ado. So the reason why this topic is important because of the vision that I have for water and wastewater specifically. It is to bring a paradigm shift in the water resource management by integrating conservation and climate change mitigation. It's a very straightforward topic. However, it has many, there are a lot of interlinkages with several sectors and technical sectors as well. So the first of all, coming to the problem, now we all know the problem of India specifically and the world as well, that urbanization and population growth is leading to encroachment of common land and common water resources. There's a lack of clarity of water policies, and they are sometimes unenforceable. For example, every state has its own water policy. There are multiple water management, water departments, starting from the state to the municipalities to the national to the subnational, and within intrastate as well, including several river basins have their own authorities, several lakes have their own authorities, and it's a mess. And there are a lot of people who are in the water sector. However, they are unable to have a significant contribution. So coming to the other, there are of course every monsoon it happens that several Indian cities and small towns come have flash floods, and there is a over dependence on supplied water as well as groundwater. Well, as we know that India is a major user of groundwater. I think the highest amount of groundwater is used in India. As I mentioned, the bureaucratic maze, which is very difficult to navigate when looking at water policies as such, because water policies generally tend to be feel-good documents, but they are very difficult to enforce. Well, coming to the problems very specifically, there are problems with government land surveys, which sometimes manipulate the land records, declaring certain parts which were previously conserved as not protected, or sometimes they're reusing the lands as for a different purpose. And also encroachment is sometimes legitimized by the government records. This happens in both urban and rural areas. The most frequent example would be the peri-urban areas of India, which are the areas which are within a radius of 50 to 100 kilometers from any major city. Most of the areas are encroached on, where agricultural land is converted into real estate without the knowledge or the connivance of the local villagers who are staying there. Sometimes it also happens that the local water bodies are encroached upon, and once they dry out, and they are declared as non-protected water bodies. So probable solutions, we'll dive right into it. There are, of course, the ecosystem services approach to monetize the benefits of the common water resources. Then, of course, the pricing of wastewater, treated wastewater, of course. If treated wastewater of good quality can be supplied at a price lower than the supplied water, then people will be incentivized to use that instead of actually using the supplied water. The local stakeholders, as of now, there is a complete lack of complete disconnect among local people between their ecosystem contributions. For example, people generally are disconnected from their local water sources, which were previously used, people were previously dependent on. For example, lakes and rivers. Most people get their water supply from either tankers, which is private supply, or they get it from the piped water. Then comes the groundwater recharge. Most people are unaware that about the groundwater recharge potential. Due to the construction of large multi-storied buildings, there's a problem with the shallow aquifers being encroached upon, leading to the leading to the excavation of the land, and the rocks are unable to recharge, which means that deep recharge will have to be done. And for that, it needs to be the recharge points will have to be identified using certain geological instruments, which is a difficult task, of course. However, most people are unaware that recharge can be done easily, and people just look at groundwater as something to be extracted out. Also, the wastewater, there is a deep distrust among people about wastewater and its potential harmful effects. How we can actually incentivize the use of treated wastewater, would be to first look at local communities and other stakeholders, and they must be willing to how much they're willing to pay for treated wastewater. So treated wastewater of good quality, of course. Now the quality is defined as per the Indian law between type A, B, C, D, and E. And hence, of course, type A is the best one, and type E is the worst. And it should be somewhere between B and C, because type A is for drinking, and the others are for other uses, like and bathing, washing, and others. There are a couple of consulting. I mean, a lot of big consultants have recently come into the Indian environment sector with policy compendiums and pathways. However, the I think the way forward would be to have a pathways for demand management. For example, there are various different consumers, like domestic, commercial, and industrial. Each consumer is unique, and their pathway for demand management would be different. For example, the need for consumers would be to for a domestic consumer, it could be using treated wastewater, which they can afford. But for a commercial consumer, it could be just treating wastewater at source and reusing the same. For example, big malls or hospitals. And industrial water is also charged at a very high rate compared to domestic water, which is the reason that we cannot expect industries to treat their wastewater at the source itself. But they couple of industries can pool together to reuse wastewater within a industrial complex or a special economic zone, as we call it in India. So moving on to the operationalization. Since wastewater itself can be sourced from different sources, namely industrial, domestic, or agriculture. We have looked at a case study of in India, in Mumbai, near Mumbai, the largest economic capital of India. The near Mumbai, there is the dairy industry, which has picked up very recently in the peri-urban areas, mainly due to the lack of interest in agriculture among the new generation of farmers, because agriculture is not very well paying. The water used in the dairy is causing pollution to the underground, as groundwater, as well as the surface water, because it is dumped directly. For example, the water is used to clean the cows, clean the cow sheds, and also manage the fields and the nearby areas for irrigation, and manage. And the quantum of water is huge, which leads to a lot of eutrophication in the local water bodies. So the local communities have to be who are dependent on lake water, yet lake or pond water, have to be have to monitor the waste dumping and the local plant growth. It is possible to treat the wastewater generated through the dairy industry in constructed wetlands before dumping into the natural water bodies. This can be done in a very simple way. I've explained it a little later. The operating model will focus on fostering unity among the various stakeholders and taking the contribution from nearby urban dwellers and the peri-urban communities. So as I mentioned, the best place to operationalize these kind of projects will be on the outskirts of the big cities, and mainly the areas which are within around 50 to 100 kilometers of major cities. There will be minimal government involvement and funding, because as we know that in India, it is very difficult to get the government on board and actually operationalize the project, which is why we are looking at a decentralized model, PPP model, involving corporate CSR. There are several big companies who are working out the corporate social responsibility and eager to spend, because there has been a recent legislation in India where 2% of the entire company's profits, for any company averaging turnover of more than 50 crore. 50 crore is approximately 500, half a billion, I would say. And they have to spend 2% of their turnover on CSR, corporate social responsibility. So coming to the use of the mobile sludge dewatering unit, the mobile sludge dewatering unit is a very recent innovation in India. It has been pioneered by an institute in India, in Hyderabad. And the mobile sludge dewatering unit is basically just a truck with a dewatering unit, which is a filter press mounted on it. However, this has been used for human fecal sludge only as of now. It has been used widely for actually going and cleaning out septic tanks in areas which do not have a drainage system. For now, it has been used in various remote locations, and it kind of prevents the use of the need to transport sewage or sludge, fecal sludge from areas where there is no pipelines for pipelines or plumbing. And as of now, it has not been used for animal fecal sludge. The solution that we have proposed, and there is a plan to pilot this proposal, is to use mobile sludge dewatering units for treating animal fecal sludge, which is actually significantly easier to treat because it does not have a lot of the bacteria and other pathogens, which make human fecal sludge more difficult to treat and also toxic. The cost of a machine is approximately 4,500 USD, or approximately 350,000 INR. The cost of a constructed wetland is coming up to around 10 to 15,000 USD, which is and the how this is cost effective is that this can actually treat the entire village, the quantum of wastewater from an entire village or a cluster of villages in a peri-urban area, which is how it can be around 18 to 20,000 US dollars, and this is how it can be profitable. So moving on to the way forward, we are looking at logistical support from concerned NGOs or CBOs working in the water and environment sector, and looking at not only Indian contribution but also abroad as well. There are financial grants to bring in more people on board as employees, interns, or volunteer management to kind of spread the word about this project, as well as partner. It could be pro bono basis, it could be long term, short term. Of course, experienced consultants for dealing with government agencies, because there could be a host of issues related to land acquisition, as well as capital, and how to how the villagers could benefit from it. Could be tax benefits, could be any other way of not monetary benefit, especially through the various schemes of the government, which are many and difficult to also obtain. Pitching to companies for CSR funding, as I mentioned, the main source of funding we're looking at is CSR, which is corporate social responsibility, and that's how we can stay. This project can take off because of the presence of a lot of companies within the Mumbai region, Greater Mumbai region. And so that's about it from my side. I'm looking forward to questions from everyone else, if possible. My email ID is swoomrit@gmail.com. Unfortunately, I didn't write that. And you can connect with me on LinkedIn as well. And looking forward to connecting with everyone. That's about it from my side. Thank you.